So, folks, we are talking about something that we always talk about when we talk about football. You guessed it. We're talking about kickers. And welcome back to another episode here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. Am your host, Greg Sykes, along with my best buddy here, Brandon Scott, my co host. And if you're new here, this channel, of course, is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, make sure that you have subscribed. Sometimes it's so hard to say the word subscribed to this channel. And when you also subscribe to this channel, make sure you hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. So in this episode here, we want to talk about everybody's choice of subject when we talk about football. Of course, we're talking about the kicker. And we're talking about something a little bit serious, actually. Of course, this happened just the other day. The Washington Commanders released Brandon McManus amongst the allegations of sexual assault. He was released on Sunday. And of course, again, these are allegations. He has not been convicted of anything just yet. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that and understands the difference. But Brian McManus is released from the Washington Commanders. And I know that's a lot of people on social media, Brandon, of course, they immediately was like, why did we get rid of Joey Sly? We should have kept Joey Sly. I'll admit, I was kind of like that, even though that some people were going back and showing stats about, his low percentages and in certain areas and things like that. But, I also, remembered his high percentages of touchbacks and things like that. And he was also, I thought, pretty good beyond the 50-yard attempts and things like that. So I thought Joey Sly, for the most part, overall, I thought he was a pretty solid player for us in terms of a field goal kicker. So the Washington Commanders did sign another kicker, Ramaz oh Lord. Take two, everybody.
Right.
Oh man, Ramaz Hamid, and he was signed on Tuesday. Is expected to be on the field with the team. Actually, he was on the field with the team today for off-season workouts, and so at least for right now, Brandon, that is who that the Commanders are going to roll with in terms of field goal kicker. I know some people were like, "Oh man, this is not a good move
Yeah.
by the Commanders." I know you kind of touched a little bit of this off camera. We won't necessarily share everything on camera. All of our beliefs on this, but for the most part, we tend to, I think, both kind of agree that sexual allegations and things like that, it's kind of a slippery slope, right? Because on one hand, you want the NFL to be cleaned up, right? And you don't want to treat things like this lightly. You want to send a message that there's zero tolerance. If any of your players are accused of anything like this, domestic violence, sexual assault, things like that, these players are role models, whether if we like it or not. And so if they're accused of this stuff, they should be punished to a certain degree.
Yeah.
At the same time, should they lose their job if they are just kind of accused? But who's to say if it's actually true or not? we don't know. You got to let the courts to decide. So it's kind of a slippery slope, right? Because on one hand, you want the justice system to really do its job. And now, of course, with all the current events that's going on in our country, a lot of us can have different thoughts on whether the justice system is really working or not. But, you know, overall, though, you really want to be able to have the justice system to come in to decide whether if this gentleman is in fact, guilty of committing the crime, whether if he's not. To me, I almost kind of feel like you should definitely put him on some sort of administrative leave, right? Until all the legal stuff has been decided. If he's guilty, innocent, or whatever. And then if he's found innocent, clear of all charges, he should be able to return and, not lose his job. But and then on the other hand, if he's found guilty, then of course, no more job.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that boat. But and you just what are your thoughts on this, Brandon? I mean, um, I'm kind of torn because
Yeah.
on one hand, I like the idea of zero tolerance. On the other hand, it doesn't leave much room to, for the justice system to really do its thing.
Yeah. Yeah. My opinions. Looking at the obviously, we both can agree that anything that has to do with spousal abuse, sexual assault, we don't condone that. That is something that obviously is something you deal with when you're convicted of it. That's the biggest thing. They're both ugly situations, ugly crimes that should not be condoned. I mean, obviously they just leave a black mark on society. You shouldn't beat your husband or wife, and you shouldn't sexual assault. I think everybody can agree with that. My biggest issue is this. Okay, there were allegations. You see this in sports, mostly in the NFL and the NBA, not so much in Major League Baseball so much, but I have a problem with the allegations costing somebody their job. Now, it is one thing if he's convicted. I absolutely agree with that. If he's convicted of sexual assault, put him in prison. I mean, I don't condone that. I don't condone. I am a father of daughters, man. I don't condone that. Sexual assault shouldn't happen, on a man or a woman. And, we often forget about that, it happens to men too. So, it should not be condoned in any sense, but there are allegations. And should allegations be enough for it to cost your job? And I don't believe so, because, let's be real. Sexual assault is something that, right now, to a certain degree, and I'm not saying all, because there's a lot of people who suffer through it, and it's a terrible thing, and my heart and prayers go out for them, man. But it can be used as a weapon, and we've seen it time and time again in this era now, and in this, that people at times can use it as a weapon, because they know that right now, with the way society is, they're going to get a certain reaction out of that, and it's going to cost people their jobs. So it's used as a weapon, and I think that's wrong, because number one, and most importantly, you're taking the attention away from people to actually go through that. And it's not fair to them. People that actually go through a sexual assault, you have people out here crying wolf. That takes the pressure off. That takes the attention off of them, who need the help, who need this justice system to do their work. And it's not fair, because that is an issue now, that people are going through that. So when you're crying wolf, you're doing damage to the very people that you claim to be helping. And so number one, that's my issue, is that the people that actually suffer through sexual assault, the people are wondering whether you're telling the truth or not. And that is a really, really wrong place to put a young lady, for example, who may not trust a lot of people around them, who doesn't know who to talk to. So when you're questioning whether they're even telling the truth or not, look at what you're doing to their psyche, which has already been damaged from the act. Number two, Brandon McManus has a family. To take his job from allegations, you're putting his family through hardship over allegations. So if they're not true, he doesn't have a job. And that's my problem, is that you to outright fire them. I don't agree with that. I think that you do your due diligence, put them on leave. We were talking about that before. Put them on leave where, what investigations going on, he's still a paid employee. But if it's found that it's true, let the justice system do his thing. Put him in prison. In my opinion, that's where they deserve to go. Put him in prison. But allegations is being used as a weapon, man. And where does it, the question is, where's the line? When does it stop? Who really is safeguarded? Because if somebody doesn't agree with you, they could very well just say, oh, well, that's what it is, and then your way of life is endangered because of an allegation that may or may not even be true. So that's my biggest thing about it. And like I said, sexual assault is so ugly. I don't even like talking about it because, like I said, I'm a father, I'm a brother of a young woman. I'm a son, and it's just something that is just is so disgusting. But so are allegations, so are false allegations. Let me say that false allegations are ugly because you're attacking somebody's way of life. You're attacking their family, their image, and I think the NFL. I get it. You want the image is a big thing. I get it. It's a business. You want to have an image that they're trying to gain new audiences. So I get all that. Now it's Pride Month, so you see things Pride, Black History Month, Hispanic. They're trying to as a business try to reach other audiences, and I get all that. Whether you agree with it or not, that's a totally different conversation on a different platform. But I think to a certain degree they need to protect their players because let's be 100% honest about this. They're targets. They make millions of dollars to play football. Every woman in the world is trying to have a child with an NFL player. Look at Tyreek Hill. He's got how many baby mamas and kids? I mean, let's be real. They're targets, man. I mean, these women are trying to be that baby mama of a football player. I'm going to just be totally honest here because they know that is an automatic payday. And, so very often that they use that as a weapon, I know because they know that as soon as they make the allegation, they're going to be dealt with. So I think the NFL has to protect their players. Obviously there's players out there who have broken the law, and the NFL have done a great job dealing with them. I mean, the wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs, what he did with the accident and then walking away, and he has no business in the NFL. For you to not only cause an accident, but to when you see people are hurt, you're gonna walk away, strutting away on the highway. It's clownish, man. He deserves to be in prison, in my opinion, because somebody is sitting there fighting for their life, and you're walking away. And any one of us who walk away from an accident, what happens to us? So, I get trying to make a standard, trying to make a point, dealing with players and their actions off of the field. But in a certain degree, you have to protect them too. The allegations to me should not be enough for you to lose your job. Put them on administrative leave, and then let the justice system, let the investigators, whether it's through the NFL or through the justice system, do their thing. But to outright lose your job, I do not agree with. I'm sure people aren't going to be happy when I'm saying it is what it is because we all have opinions. So it is what it is. But I don't agree with it because where do you draw the line? Who's next? Because if you don't agree with something that somebody's doing, it's very easy. Oh, well, so and so did this to me, and then their whole life impacted, and they may not even be guilty, but then he then lost his job. And I get it. A lot of people are going to say, all right, they're millionaires, so who cares? But still, because you're a millionaire, it doesn't mean that it gives me the green light to attack you and say, oh, well, he has more money than I do, he can deal with it. No, because he has a family, he has an image, he has an extended family. I'm sure his parents aren't thrilled to not only have their last name being drugged through the news through a sexual assault. You're not only attacking this young man, you're attacking his family. And like I said, if he's guilty, look, by all means, you do whatever you got to do to put his butt behind bars. But this affects more than one person. And it affects their children. They got to go to school, and their dad's in the news for sexual assault. There's so many factors that where we have to nip this in the bud. Allegations should not be enough for somebody to lose their job and way of life. There should be a conviction. There should be no doubt at all that whether they're guilty or innocent. But the allegations are not enough, Greg. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. I don't agree with it. Like I said, I do not condone any kind of violence, any sexual violence, whether it's, anything. I don't condone it. It's ugly. It has no place in our society. But in that token, they have to be convicted of the crime. That's the way it used to be in this country. And I'm not going to get into politics because but it used to be where, you got convicted, you dealt with your crime. You took the consequences. Now you're taking consequences from just being alleged. I don't agree with it. And I think that the NFL needs to do a better job protecting their players.
Well, you know what is a crime, though, that we both can agree with? Is Emmanuel Forbes' knees. How do you, folks? How did you like that segue? um, yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on all of that, Brandon. But yes, um, the other thing that has been going around a lot here lately has Emmanuel Forbes. He actually looks skinnier, and we were talking about this before the video. We don't know how he could look skinnier, but alas, Emmanuel Forbes was like, "Hold my beer because beer has too many calories in it anyway." So, um, Emmanuel Forbes looks so skinny, and I'm just gonna and I'll link this video. But I had to share this video thumbnail, and many of you guys saw this probably on YouTube. You may have even seen this on a Twitter X as well. But yeah, Negate. From Craig Hoffman. Yes, uh, look at Emmanuel Forbes' knees. Now, I'm looking at my knees right now, and I have to say, I think I might be able to rival Emmanuel Forbes as far as the knee department. I actually think, to be honest, I think Brandon. Now, I'm not going to pull the camera down to my knees, um, but I think I might be able to rival Emmanuel Forbes in the knee department. I think I actually have more athletic looking knees. I think I do. Now he probably can run much faster than I can, especially right now because I'm in a walking boot. But um, yeah, I mean, dude, what is up with Emmanuel Forbes' legs? I mean, the poor guy has been mercilessly just ridiculed on social media. I mean, he's had his legs replaced by pretzels, which in turn made me hungry. Um, I mean, the dude needs a hamburger, and I would be more than happy to show him the way of calories. I will take Emmanuel Forbes under my wing, and I will show him the way of the Italian cuisine, um, because I have married into an authentic Italian family who makes the best meatballs, um, lasagna. I mean, anything a man could ask for. All I ask is that he has seconds and at least brings a third home with him. I mean, Brandon, I'm worried about Emmanuel Forbes. I just, is he going to be ready for the season? I mean, is he going? He needs to bulk up. I mean, come on. I know that Dan Quinn said that they come in all shapes and sizes, but I mean, so do M and M's. I mean, please tell me that Emmanuel Forbes is going to be okay this season. Please tell me, because the dude needs a burger. He needs a burger.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest about this, man, because I know we talked a little bit about Emmanuel Forbes over this past year, and a lot of the shortcomings on the field. And let's be 100 about that. Like, a lot of the shortcomings come from what? Because he doesn't have the proper weight to be able to take down these bigger receivers and these running backs and these tight ends. Let's be real. And I get it. I'm gonna try to look at it from both perspectives. Number one, I get it. Just some people are saying, give him a chance. You got a new coaching staff. You got a whole new situation. So see if they can work with him, see if they can get him right, and go from there. And I agree with that. Give him another year, see where he's at. But then on the flip side, it's like, I mean, did we really have to tell Aaron Donald to work out? Like, I mean, he lifted the way he does, and it showed on the field. He was an all-pro. So, I mean, there's certain players you don't have to ask them to improve themselves because you're trying to get better. Like, I don't understand why the physique looked like he has not even walked past the gym. Like, I don't see any muscle in him, and it scares me. It scares me. I think that, Him working with Darrell Green would be a plus, because Darrell Green was a smaller corner, even though Darrell Green was very strong. He had a strong physique. He was just a short guy, but he was fast and very strong. So, but I mean, he's got to get in there and work. He's got to work. He's got to work because yeah, it's funny, but then and we can go back to Christian Gonzalez. I think that ship has sailed. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes is our guy, so um, but he's got to work. If you look at players who, that I guess I'll say this: the difference between being an average guy and being an all pro is putting in that work on your own. And then we often say what was integrity, right? Doing the right thing when nobody's looking, right? And I say that a lot in the military. I say it to my kids. I'm sure they're tired of me saying it all the time, but it's something to think about. Integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's looking. It's easy to go and lift when you're at the facility and the coach is saying it's lift time. It's a totally different thing to when it's the off season to hire, go hire a chef who knows how to bulk up players. Go and get a strength coach. Go get a guy who's going to train you up. Put that work in. Your body should not be looking like that. And I don't care what anybody says. There's people out defending. I think that, yeah, he's a young man, and I get all that, man. But look, you know what it is now. You're 1 year into your NFL career, and you know this is a business, man. And you know that if what you can't do, they will find somebody else who's going to be able to do that. So it behooves him, of all people, to work on his body to get himself ready for the NFL season. Because look, the Commanders are going to be there. They don't necessarily. I mean, I don't want to say they don't need. I would say that he needs them more than they need him. Let's be totally honest about that assessment. Is that if he does not come out this season and show progress, he very well could not be on this team. I mean, let's be real. He's a first round pick. I mean, he's not second, not third, not later rounds. This guy was a guy at his draft position. With the expectations with the first round is that this guy is supposed to come in and contribute right away, and he's not. He's not. And there's a very short list of receivers that his body can. I mean, Devontae Smith is a guy I guess he could probably go one-on-one with, but AJ Brown gave him the business. I mean, DJ Moore on prime time gave the entire secondary the business. And I mean, you look at DJ Moore now that the receiving core they got in Chicago. Good luck with that because we're going to see them again this year. I mean, he's got to bulk up. He's got to get in there and get stronger. He's got to look at gaining more calories through his diet, man. That's why I say a dietitian is definitely somebody, because when you think of dietitian, you think of losing weight, where no, chefs and dietitians know how to gain weight, because there's people out here in society that need to gain weight. So, there's going to go get a chef that knows how to cook him meals that are going to be able to bulk him up. High protein meals, give him shakes, man, get him in there, get him some creatine, something, get him in there and bulk him up. But, I'm not one of these people who say, oh, leave the guy alone. No, if we can judge our military on the actions they do in war, if we can judge our politicians and the things they do, if we can judge everybody else on their actions and their job, we can judge them on their body of performance and their body. And this past year, he needs work. I think we all agree he needs work. He did not live up to the hype of being a number one overall. Oh, no, number one first round draft pick, not number one overall, but first round draft pick. So to me, he seems like a humble kid. And I'm gonna say I'm almost 40 minutes, so I'm gonna call him a kid. And look, he seems humble, but this is not a popularity contest. You got to be able to, number one, have that body ready to take down these running backs, because the corner, man, we're not just expecting you to go out there and try to get picks, man. He needs to be able to take some people down. And AJ Brown, that's a hard assignment. DK Metcalf, man, I'm just saying, like, he's gonna be on his ankle while he drags him? Like, he's got to be able to take him down, man. So that's where I would go. And by all means, he might be very well starting to do that. I don't know what he's doing off of the field as far as but I would hire a chef. I would hire a dietitian. I would definitely work with Darrell Green. Definitely work with him because he knows he's a smaller corner who hit Hall of Fame corner. So he knows what he's talking about as far as being a smaller corner. So that's right. I will take with Emmanuel Forbes. But I mean, the amount of patience is getting lower because, again, new regime, new coaching staff, and they may not have that love for him like the previous regime did, because we all know the shortcomings of Ron Rivera, Lord have mercy. So it behooves him, Greg, to work on himself, man, because the team doesn't need him as much as he needs the team. And what he can't do, this new owner is going to go out and find it. And so if he wants to be on this team, if he wants to be in the NFL, he's going to have to gain some weight and really learn how to play with that weight.
Yeah, and let's face it, I know that he was drafted in the first round, but he really was a reach. I mean, he should not have been drafted in the first round. Um, and yeah, you know, hopefully the new defensive regime coming into Washington, they're going to be able to put him in situations where he can excel and play to his strength. I have no doubt that they're going to get the best out of him. I mean, we already saw what Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. was able to do in Dallas with that defense. I mean, they had that defense hitting on all cylinders. Of course, their uh, playoff performance aside, that defense was hitting on all cylinders all season long, and so we know that they can turn this defense into something special. So, and I think that they will work with these guys and they'll get them to playing much better football, including Emmanuel Forbes. But there is a reason why they also drafted some other cornerbacks as well, and going out in free agency and whatnot. So I tell you, I think Emmanuel Forbes, I think he has some work cut out for him. Um, and I agree. I think he does need to bulk up. Maybe it's one of those deals where he was afraid that he would lose some speed. Corners tend to worry about that because they don't want to get burnt. But the thing is, you still get burnt, and then the problem is you're trying to get caught back up and try to wrestle the guy down, and you don't have the strength to wrestle the guy down, catch him from behind or whatever. So I think you work on technique, but you work on bulking up, and just the bad thing too is that the past regime put these guys just in the they were just out of position all the time, and so they were already playing at a disadvantage too, and so that's why I feel like as well, it is a clean slate. Let's make sure that number one, they're put in position to succeed. Now, once that they are put in a position to succeed, they're putting in a place where they feel comfortable, that they can really flex their muscles and things like that. And it's on them. It's on them to really show this team what they can do, right? And Emmanuel Forbes is going to have to show us all that, hey, all this talk about his size is overrated and overblown. But it's also to protect him from injuries as well. It's not just bulking up and looking like Hulk or anything like that, but it's to protect him from injuries. You can't go out there and being too lean. These other guys are continuing to get bigger and bigger and stronger, and you've got to be able to match them as well. It's not just speed, but you got to be able to match them. You got to be able to take a hit. You got to be able to give a hit, and that's something he's got to look at too. I like your idea about being able to hire the right chef for you to be able to get the right nutrition to bulk you up, healthy way. Get into the weight room, and just put on the weight healthy way. Get out there, look bigger, and just be ready. And he came in, and honestly, to me, he didn't look like an NFL player. He just looked too thin. People were accusing Jaden Daniels of he doesn't look big enough to be our quarterback, and then you start looking at the size and weights of some of the other quarterbacks. It's like he's not off from the other quarterbacks. What are you talking about? So and he looks just fine, honestly. In fact, like he looks deadly accurate in some of the videos I've seen him, especially on some of the rainy days. I mean, he was like throwing that ball into the net like I mean, deadly accurate. So, um, yeah, man. So, Emmanuel Forbes, let's see what happens. I think all in all, Brandon, some of us are hard on him because honestly, we want him to succeed. He is a first round draft pick, so we want him to succeed. We're going to be bitterly disappointed if he doesn't. That's the reason why we talk about him so much, because we don't want to see him fail. We want to see him succeed. If we didn't care whether if he succeeded or failed, we wouldn't talk about him so much. So that's our thought process. So anyway, folks, that's pretty much it for this video. Brandon, you got anything else before we roll?
No, sir. It was a good episode, man. No, I'm good.
Very, very good episode indeed. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your buddies, your football buddies, and please, if you got any ideas for anything you want us to cover, leave in the comments. Let us know. We will be glad to cover it. And with that said, we will see you in the next one held to the Washington Commanders, the Redskins. Hey, we say it all. We don't care. We're not politically correct here. As a matter of fact, we're probably far from it. With that said, we will see you in the next one. See ya.